Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us today for this webinar from Telric India. These webinars are typically held every Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. India Standard Time. Usually, second, third, and fourth Thursdays is what we target. We do put up the schedules on www.telerichelper.net. So that's the about the webinar. So today's webinar, we are looking at a very specific component that we have released recently as part of our Kendo UI release. It was Q3 2015. We have a new control, or we have a new widget called as spreadsheet. So today's webinar is all about looking at the spreadsheet component or widget, and also the new support that we have for Angular 2, and then Angular 2 and the web component. So if you're kind of in the web space, you have been following the web space, Angular 2 is one of the most awaited development aspects from the web world. And also the web component, the support of web components within your HTML is also one of the interesting topics. So we're going to see how Telerik is becoming a pioneer in kind of being there in supporting this Angular 2, supporting the web component way of using the HTML and all those things. So we termed it as online spreadsheet using Kendo UI, but I'm going to be talking about three things today: the spreadsheet component, the Angular 2 support, and the web component support. For those of you who are new to our webinars, this is the voice behind the mic. My name is Lohit Jian. I work as a technical evangelist with Telric in India. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in the area of ASP.NET. That's my official email ID. If you want to get in touch with me, lohit.nagaraj@telric.com. I'm available at Twitter at KASHYAPA, and those two are some of the websites that I keep writing. First one is mine, kashypas.com is my personal website. Telrichelper.net is something that we have done it for India region, or those kind of things. So where myself and my colleagues, we write mostly on the webinars, on how to do some stuffs with Telric components or widgets, controls. And the www.telric.com is the global website where you will be able to find more about what is Telric, what do we have in terms of our offerings, all those things. So today's agenda is very lightweight. I normally keep things light. So today's agenda, we're going to look at what is Kendo UI. If you are familiar with Kendo UI, it will be kind of a lap around, what is new, what is Kendo UI. But for those of you who are listening, or who are here and you're listening to the word Kendo UI for the first time, I'm going to just give you a brief intro about what is Kendo UI. Then we're going to look at the new things in Kendo UI, and of course, those are the spreadsheet component, the spreadsheet widget as we call it, the web components, and then Angular 2 support. So that's what we're going to look at today more primarily. So we're going to be going very slow. I'm going to spend time explaining stuff, all those things, and we'll spend more time on the spreadsheet component because that's pretty cool. You can now get an Excel kind of a spreadsheet support on your web application. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So Kendo UI. So that's, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the mascot for Kendo UI. He's known as Kendoka. It's I believe a Japanese word. He's like a samurai. And this is the mascot or the icon or whatever you want to call it for Kendo UI. Whenever you see this, so that's Kendo UI. And this is from Telerik. So what is Kendo UI? Well, it's a fast, light, complete 70 plus jQuery based UI widgets in one tool set. So Kendo UI is like a framework which provides you a lot of stuff. So there is JavaScript it is JavaScript framework agnostic, meaning we work with pretty much whatever you can think of. We work with Angular, we work with Knockout, we work with Backbone, I believe. So there's no framework lock-in. Why? Because what we provide you is a set of things within the framework. We give you the UI widgets, we give you the framework elements, we give you the web widgets, we give you data visualization widgets, we give you mobile widgets, we give you mobile framework. So it's up to you what you want to pick. Many people go full guns with Kendo UI, meaning they do not have Knockout, they do not have Angular, they do not have anything. Rather, they just take one framework, one library called as Kendo UI, and it provides everything: data binding, MVVM, you name it, it's there in Kendo UI. We also have the integration with Angular JS. Probably we were the I mean, whatever controls we have, the 70 plus controls that we have, they all are aware of the Angular JS. So we have Angular JS directives out of the box in the Kendo UI. So you want to use Angular as your framework? Well, go ahead by all means. But what you can do is then Kendo UI becomes just the UI layer. So as you know, Angular does not have widgets, or Angular does not have what we call as controls. Angular has directives, right? For example, of course, there are some things called as ng-grid. So that's actually a directive somebody has written, right? So what we have done is we have a very powerful grid, JavaScript-based grid. We call it as Kendo UI grid. And you can use that Kendo UI grid along with your Angular code. So that's why we say we integrate with Angular very easily. So you can get the best of the both worlds. Use Angular for all your framework related stuff. Use Kendo UI for the UI related stuff. And we have the extensive data visualization support. We have mobile specific widgets. Of course, the mobile specific widgets are all our widgets are touch aware or touch support. So plus we have the adaptive rendering. So it's a modern, comprehensive HTML5 based JavaScript framework. Whatever you need, it's there in one package. So what's in the box, if you may ask? Well, there are different parts of Kendo UI. So one is the application framework. The application framework means, we provide you the low-level things like MVVM, like SPA, the single page application framework. Then there is globalization, then there is validation. These kind of low-level stuff that you need for your application. Yes, we provide you that. There is a very powerful JavaScript data source which can do complete CRUD without you writing any code. Meaning you just need to give the CRUD URLs, meaning what's the URL to create, what's the URL to update, what's the URL to delete, and then what's the URL to what did we miss, read. So you just set the URLs, and then the data source is going to do all the heavy lifting for you. You don't write any code to say, hey, go post or go do a HTTP get or go do a HTTP post. No, you just say, hey, data source, can you sync now? And then it will go ahead and then do whatever it needs to be done. Right? So that's the application framework. Then when we call it, what we have is a web UI, meaning we give you close to 40 or so web controls, starting from as simple as date picker to as complex as a scheduler. Right? Scheduler is nothing but like what you see in the Outlook desktop application. Similarly, we have an HTML5 based control. Then we have the mobile UI, meaning you can use Kendo UI mobile controls to build a hybrid mobile application or build a mobile web application. So whatever it is. So it's the same code that can run on a page or run on a device. So that's the Kendo UI mobile. Then data visualization, of course, you will need some sort of charts, gauges. So that is also supported within Kendo UI. So that's what you get in the box: application framework, web UI, mobile UI, data visualization. And you may ask, okay, what are the controls that you have, right? So take a look at this particular slide very carefully. So what we have is, what you're seeing there is the the controls or the widgets and the frameworks also. So if you see, we have the widgets for pretty much most of your project needs: data management, scheduling, layouting, diagramming, geo visualization, interactivity, editors, data visualization, file upload, navigation, and of course the mobile widget. So you name a aspect of your project, most probably we have a control for you. Not only that, I've been a web programmer for 14 years now. The widgets or the controls don't kind of excite me. What excites me is the Kendo UI's web framework. We have the JavaScript data source, we have the drag and drop facility, we have the effects API, we have the globalization API, we have the MEVM API, we have the single page app API, we have a templating engine, we have validator. That's pretty much what you need to do any HTML5 based or any web application in terms of JavaScript side of the things, right? So you will use Knockout for data binding. You will use SAMI.js or whatever it is for what do you call navigation or single page application. And of course, and if you're gone Angular way, yes, of course, Angular provides you all this stuff. So where can Kendo fit in the Angular world? Well, the UI layers, right? The controls that we have is superior to any other control in the market today. These are the Kendo UI widgets and frameworks that we provide you. So as you can see, a whole lot of things are available. If you are interested in some of the webinars that we have done already, what you can do is go to telerichelper.net, search for a category called webinars, and search for Kendo UI. And then we have done a lot of other webinars also over the course of the time. So uh, what are the new things? Basically, the new things that we have introduced is spreadsheet beta, meaning you can now get basically the Excel kind of a spreadsheet within your web application. And of course, you can store data, you can get the data, you can do formatting, you can do cell formatting, you can do functions inside the cell, you name it, so you can do it. And mind you, it's still a beta, so that means it's still is going to undergo a lot of API changes, or it's going to bring in a lot of features. So currently, whatever features we have, we're continuously working on it. The team is continuously working on it, and then we will give much more and more features in the due course of time. Then we're going to look at how we are supporting Angular JS way of creating things. Right now, basically, Angular JS is one of the frameworks that you have for creating the JavaScript, all those things. And Angular JS 2, or Angular 2 as it is known as, is a very, very, very interesting project that Google is doing. They are changing the way you write Angular apps. Angular 1.x to Angular 2, completely different changes. Of course, Angular 2 is going the route of ES6. It's using TypeScript as the language, which is good. So there's a lot of changes coming in. And then what we thought was, we also worked with Google guys and then said, okay, how are we gonna kind of bring in Kendo UI into the bandwagon, right? So we will take a look at a small demo where I'll show you how you write Angular 2 apps, and then how we are bringing in Kendo into that one. Then web components is another interesting thing that's happening in the web world. uh, the HTML tags are very limited. You cannot create a custom tag, right? You cannot just go in and say, okay, lesser than sign, lohit, and then make the web browser understand about that. Well, no, you cannot do that today, right? Of course, React has its own way of doing things, but web components is all about, hey, the browser should just understand this, and then should be able to kind of create, or allow us to create custom component, allow us to define custom components, allow us to render custom components, right? So what we have done is, we looked at the web component specification, and then we said, well, why not? We can provide Kendo UI to be instantiated like a component on the browser. Today I'm going to showcase how you actually work with Kendo UI, just to give somebody, many of you who may be new to Kendo UI. I'm going to just spend some moment to say, this is how you use Kendo UI. Then you'll notice that the way you create Kendo UI widgets is through JavaScript, right? When the page loads, you have a div, or you have an input element, and then you grab them and then say like, hey, can you convert this into Kendo grid, or can you convert this into Kendo date picker? So there's no way you can put Kendo hyphen date picker today. You cannot do that. But with web component specification, yes, you can do that. You don't need to instantiate a component through the JavaScript. Rather, you can just say Kendo hyphen whatever component that you want, and the browser happily instantiates for you. So we're going to take a look at all this example. It's very interesting, by the way. The moment our team said, hey, we're going to do this, I had to go look up what exactly is a web component, and it was kind of mind-boggling for me too. So okay, without much further ado, so that's all the slide I had. As you can see, that's the end of it, and we're going to be jumping into code now. So what I've already done is, I've created, I'm using Visual Studio 2015. There's a jet flying over my home, so just let's give it a minute for it to calm down. So what you're seeing on my screen is actually a editor, Visual Studio 2015. It's up to you whichever editor you want to use. I'm just using this because I'm more from the Microsoft side of the world, and then it's easier for me to kind of demo it using this. All I have done is I created an empty web application. Okay, so let me show you what I have. Let me bring up my Zoom it. Zoom, now programs, Zoom. Okay, so what I have done here is I just created a simple web application, empty web application, meaning it doesn't have a web forms or it doesn't have a MVC or anything. It's just a web app. It's an empty web app, right? And all I've done is, as you can see here, I've named it as spreadsheet demo. And this is a web application. I have a lib folder. So let me expand the lib folder. And what I've done in the lib folder is I've already kept Kendo related JavaScript and style sheet. So if you're wondering how did I get that, so you will need to go download Kendo. Kendo UI is actually a paid product. We have Kendo UI Professional, which is the suite or the product SKU that we have, and then it's a paid product, and then you can do a 30-day trial of it. So what I've done is I've already downloaded the Kendo UI Professional Q3 2015, which is the latest version. Once you download and install, you will get this JS folder and you will get this styles folder. So what does the JS contain, right? JS contains certain, the it contains the script, like we have something called as kendo.all.min.js. So meaning this single file, which is around 2 MB, contains web, contains mobile, contains database, contains all the framework related stuff. If you don't want that, if you're building only web uh, pages, what you can do is you can go and download, you can use this particular file, which is kendo.web.min.js. Many of the customers that who I talk to look at our demos and then they're like, oh, they used all. Okay, we should use all. No, don't do that. So that's why it's known as a demo. In the demo, we just demo whatever works, right? Whereas on a production level, what I would suggest is if you are building only web pages, you should use kendo.web.min.js. That contains everything for you. That contains the web framework, that contains the web widget. So one single file, it goes to the client side, it caches, and then you don't load it every time and again, right? And it's a 1.8 MB, and then if you zip it, or if you minify, it is actually minified. In minified, it is 1.8. If you want, you can gzip it and then use it on the client side. So what I've done is I've already copied the Kendo JavaScript, and then I didn't talk about the style sheet. So Kendo relies on the JavaScript file, and then it relies on the styles. So if you look at here, out of the box, whatever you see here, the folder names, these are all the themes that we provide out of the box: black, blue, opal, bootstrap, default, fiori, flat, high contrast, material black, metro black, moonlight, nova. Nova is a new theme, fantastic theme that's come out in the latest edition release. And Office 365 Silver. These are all the theme names that we provide. And for you to use it, what you need is you need to have something called as kendo common min.css, and then you can use kendo.default.css. So let me show you that. So here is kendo default.min.css. So you need these two style sheets to be referenced in your projects, in your files, so that you can get the look and feel that you're looking for, right? So in my case, for the demo, what I've done is I've copied the entire JavaScript. I've copied the entire style sheet. Note, this is a demo. You do not have to do this. You just copy the files that you need, keep it inside Kendo. That's it. You don't need to copy the whole JavaScript folder. You don't have to copy the whole style sheet folder. The styles you need is only two. So copy just that. For the demo, what I'm doing is I want to show you how different themes look like. So that's why I copied all the style sheets that are there in the folder. Now what I've done is I've created a simple index.html. As you can see here, this is a HTML file that's got nothing to do with ASP.NET or a web application, right? This has been hosted inside a ASP.NET server technology, or a server's side technology, and it's going to be served from that particular server. So what I've done is I've already I already referenced the kendo common.min, kendo default.min, and then Kendo depends on jQuery. So what I've done is I've already referenced the jQuery, and then I'm referencing the web.min.js because I'm building a web page, right? And of course, I have the document.ready function, kind of stubbed out so that I can start working with it. So how do you create a Kendo widget? Let's take a simple case of a date picker, right? You will have any, you may have a requirement or a scenario wherein you just want to have a date picker, right? And I'm pretty sure many of you would have used jQuery plugin called date picker, and then that's not. I'm going to show you how this looks like. I don't want to comment anything on jQuery, the plugins. It's not bad, but I'm going to show you how we give you professional level, enterprise classy widgets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say input, and then I'm going to say ID is equal to k date picker. That's all I need to do on the. So this is what I was talking about. This is all you can do today. There's no way you can say kendo hyphen date picker, right? So how do you convert this element into a kendo object or a widget? So you just have to say, hey jQuery, give me this HTML element that's on the DOM, and I want you to convert this into kendo date picker. Notice here I'm getting the if you see here, I'm getting the IntelliSense from Visual Studio 2015. By the way, this is being good. So I did not have to do anything. Rather, I think I just created Visual Studio 2015. I just created an empty web app. I added all my JavaScripts, and now I think the the project knows that, hey, there is something called as Kendo on this page, and then the editor is smart enough to give me the IntelliSense. So that's why I love Visual Studio. Notice here, I'm getting all the what do you call the IntelliSense here. So I just have to say kendo date picker, and let me zoom out, and that's it. We are done. And now if I run this, what's going to happen is on the page you won't see an input type is equal to text box. Rather, you will see an kendo date picker coming up. So that's what the magic kendo does on the fly. It takes the DOM element and then converts that into a widget. So let me, where is my IE window? Yeah, okay, it's coming up now. So as you can see here, I have my IE window coming up. So when the page renders, you will see a date picker coming up, and we have the date picker already there. Notice here, this is what you get with Kendo UI. This is as cool as it can get. So now you may be asking, hey, by the way, the current date is not selected, right? Okay, so how do I pass values, right? So what you can do is when you're instantiating it, you can say, hey, you know what? I want you to set your value to new date of. Let me come back here, and I'm going to refresh the page. And now when oh, there you go. So the date is set 11/26/2015, and you will see the current date selected, and I can go and then do anything. Notice here I'm getting a very nice tooltip. It says Tuesday, November 10, 2015. This is Thursday, November 26, whatever. So you got the point, right? So well, let's say I want to convert this into date time picker, right? No problem. You just have to say date time picker, and there you go. Now you see what is happening. You get a calendar icon, you get a time icon now. That's because I said I need to pick a date and a time. So there you go. So I can click on the date. I can come back here. I can say, oh, this is 12 p.m. So let's pick up, or 12:32. So I'm going to pick up 1 p.m. So there you go. So that is what you get with Kendo UI. That's as simple as it can get with Kendo UI. So now what we're gonna do is let's start. So this is just a primer for those of you who are wondering what is Kendo UI. There are a bunch of controls available. I would suggest you to go to our demos that are available here. Just go to demos.telerik.com, and if you go here, you will have link for Kendo UI. If you see here under web section, you have link for Kendo UI, and it says launch Kendo UI demos. So click on it, and then you will be able to go through the complete demo of all our controls. and each control has anywhere around on an average close to 10 scenarios that we have. So for example, if you want to take a look at the grid, just click on the grid and take a look at the left hand side column. These are all the scenarios that we have demos for. The grid has close to 30 demos, right? And this is how you get. This is the grid that you get. It's pageable, it's sortable, it's groupable. So you name it. So we're not going to go there, and then you can actually go and take a look at the example of date picker here, and then there will be a lot of example here which says range selection, customizing the templates, and API, meaning what are the properties, what are the events. There you go. So I have, like, I can select this guy and then say set value. Notice here the bottom has been set. I can do an open, I can do a close, and then I can enable, I can disable, I can read only, all those things. You get the point. So this is what you do. So this is showcasing the API. And you want to know how to work with Angular JS way? Yeah, we have the demo for that too. So if you take a look at this, here is your module, Angular module, and you create a controller, and then you set all your properties here, and notice how you can create Kendo UI. This is a Kendo Angular directive. So you just say input Kendo hyphen dash date hyphen Kendo dash date dash picker, K options, K format. That's it. You got the Kendo UI integrated with Angular, right? So that's how easy it is with Angular. Now let's switch gears and then let's get back to the widget of the day, and that is spreadsheet, right? I hope everybody is familiar with Excel. I don't have to reiterate what Excel is all about, right? Excel provides you the tabular format of working with data. It's pretty good when you have to do a lot of tabular, data with calculations and all those things. So what we said was, okay, why don't we give it on the web as a HTML5 based, so that if you are building a page and you want that page to be seen on a desktop browser, you want that page to be seen on a tablet like Android tablets or an iPad, yeah, well, those are all modern browsers. So yeah, now you can get the spreadsheet running across all these devices. So that's why I said we support a wide variety of browsers, and it's touch ready. So now all I need to do is I'm going to remove this guy, and I'm going to say K spreadsheet, and now I just have to say Kendo spreadsheet, right? That's it. So now let me go back, refresh the page, and notice what happens. Voila, you got a Excel like spreadsheet on your web page. Mind you, this is HTML5. This is not in kind of an extension, or this is not what we used to earlier do, like host Office on the web pages as a component, or nothing of that sort. This is a pure HTML5 based control. Of course, you can set the width, height, everything. For now, I'm going to concentrate on what you can do. Notice here, I'm not going to write anything. Any code here. I just place this, what do you call, the spreadsheet. Well, I want to do this. 10, 20. Well, I don't want to write anything more. I want to use this guy, and then maybe I want to go till 100 or 90. Okay, I'm going to do 100. Okay, now what I want to do is I want the C column to be multiples of tens, right? So I can say is equal to A2 star 10. Notice what happened. I'm able to do the, these are formulas, right? So I'm able to do the formula right here on the page. And not only that, I can just go do this. There we go. We get the whatever the calculation that you have done, right? And not only that, I can just go in here and then do all sort of other things. That is, okay, maybe I will say this is, we'll say column, yay. This is column B, and for the column A, I want to go bold it, and maybe I want to, or let's take all these guys, add up this. Maybe I'll give everybody this guy, and then I'm gonna take this guy, color it to maybe this color, and I need their foreground to be white. There you go. So I mean, you get the point. I can do a lot of things like this. I can do insert, add column left. I can do add column above, add row above, and there you go. So I'm able to do all this stuff, right? So now, so let me start doing stuff with the, give me a second, I'm just trying to get through my script, whatever I had to show. So of course the data is nothing but if I have to put a filter on these columns, I can do a filter on this column. So I'm going to select these two columns and then I'll say filter it. Oh, okay, I don't know what I did. I have a JavaScript error coming up. Okay, unsupported for multiple ranges. Let's go. I think I did not do it correctly. So let me see. Oh, I'm gonna do the same. So question is, can I open existing XLX or XLS file? So yes and no. The thing is, from a client side, you cannot. What you will need to do is, of course, you can open. I mean, today in the web world, there's no API. I mean, there is a file API available within the HTML5 specification, but that file API is not supported across browsers. So it's not advisable to open a file from the client side. What you can do is, we have demo wherein we let you upload an Excel sheet to your server, and in the server, you just open it up, and then you can send that as a JSON. We have an Excel API available. We call it as document processing library. As part of the document processing library, we have an Excel based API which understands how to import an Excel sheet and then give you the JSON data out of it and all those things. So what you can do is, you upload the file to your server. In the server, open the Excel sheet, read it as an JSON data, and then send back the JSON to this spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet knows how to show data using a JSON. So I'm going to show you that next. So now, okay, let's stop these things. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you some certain stuff that you can do with this. Let's close this guy. Let's go here. So now I have created these spreadsheets. How do I grab this spreadsheet at runtime? Meaning it's running in the client browser now. I want to do something on the client browser. Well, it is as simple as doing this. You can create a variable called spreadsheet, and then you just grab hold of that HTML element that we started out with, and you just say get Kendo spreadsheet. Now you have the Kendo spreadsheet object with you. Now what I can do is, I can just say where active sheet is equal to spreadsheet dot active sheet. So it gives me the current sheet. Basically we have only one sheet as of now, so it's going to give me that. Then what I can do is var range is equal to sheet dot range, and I can say the range here. So it's typical to what you will do with an Excel, right? It's a 2x2 cell range that I gave, A1 to B2. And then I can say range dot value. I can just say foo, and not only that, I can start chaining stuff. So I can say, hey, I want you to uh, you know, the foreground of these cell or the text color should be green. So let's go refresh it. Oh, what did I do? Okay, I stopped it. Okay, I made a small mistake. There you go. So now, as you can see here, now what has happened is, I'm able to, I mean, I created A1 to B2. That's the range that I created, 2x2 cell. And I said, hey, the value of this A1 to B2 should be foo, and the color should be so and so. So that is what I did. Now, what we can do is, I can create a data from JSON. So assume I'm connecting to some service, I'm not ready for, set up for reading a service or anything, but what I will do is I have a JSON object, and I'm going to just show you a little bit of JSON object and then show you that. So now what I'm going to do is I got the spreadsheet. Assume that your web API call and you got JSON data, right? Assume that you got that. So what's the data? The data is something like this. So I have this Excel JSON data here. So what I'm doing is this follows a very specific format. So I have said, hey, the name of the sheet is food order. The merge cells are A1 to G1. So rows, here is the first row. Height is 70, cells is my company, font size 32, text align center. So that is my JSON data, right? So now what I can do is I can just say spreadsheet dot from JSON, and I can just give the JSON data that I have, right? That's all I did. So for somebody who was asking me a question on the Q&A that, can I open existing XLS or XLSX files in this spreadsheet control? Well, you got to do this way. That is, you first upload your Excel sheet, read that, send back the data in the structure that we need, and then we'll be able to read it. So now if I come back here and then refresh it, what happened? A1 to G1, I did not. Let me check back what I missed. So I have the spreadsheet. Oh, I know what mistake I did. So this data needs to be in this format. Let me show you. So I need to say sheets, and then it's an object. So yeah, the mistake that I did was the structure is very simple. You need to give us the sheets object. So that's what I'm doing now. Let's say I call this as JSON data. So there's a sheets object. Sheets object is an array, so it can contain more than one sheet. So your Excel workbook can be having more than one workbook, right? So in this case, what I've done is I have provided only one sheet here. So this comprises one sheet now, from here to here. And so in order to kind of make sure we understand where we are, so let me just uh, kind of, without indentations, I'm kind of freaky. I don't get where I am. So I'm gonna just, so where are we here? So this is this guy. Oh yeah. So these guys, and this is this guy, and okay, this is this guy. There we go. So we have the rows here, and then this is the sheet. So what I've done is I've created one sheet as of now. So this represents one sheet, and sheets is an array, right? And in the JSON data, I'm going to just say JSON data here. And now if I come back here and then refresh, we should see that A1 to G1 having that particular, there we go. So all I had to do was A1 to G1, I said, hey, the merge cells are A1 to G1. Here's the row. The first row is basically height 70. The cell is value my company. Font size is this. Text line this. I believe we can do color maroon. Let's check. There we go. So yeah, we can do color in all this. So the API is very flexible. You will be able to see a lot of these things, right? And so there are other ways of doing stuff here also. So what I can do is in the same example, assume that you have already defined the sheet. So here we are defining the sheet. This is not what I want to do. What I want to do is when I'm creating the spreadsheet, I want to define the sheet, right? And then I load the data later. Meaning let the sheet come up, the sheet is going to show some certain stuff, and then I'm going to go and then go to my web API or something, get the data, and then fill the data. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come back here and then paste certain stuff. So this is the sheet I created. It's the same thing, right? But I just created the sheet. Now in the data, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to keep everything. Rather, I'm going to just keep um, the rows. I'm not going to keep everything. We don't need the sheet now. So what I can do is I can just keep a row. So notice here I just have a row here. Why is it cribbing? Expected. Yeah, I don't need this guy. Okay, so all I've done is I created a rows. I said cells chai text align center value is 12. So each cell, so there are two cells now. So this guy is one cell, and this guy is another cell. Oh, I don't want to be here. I want you to be here. So we have created two cells now. This is how you do it. Cells is an array, and then you can keep on adding how many cells. I mean, basically how many cells of data you want. Now, if I come back here, so notice what happened. So we created the sheet first, and then now we are okay. Now we need to. This won't work. Spreadsheet dot from JSON data won't work. So what we need to do is we need to say sheet by name, and notice here I've given a name to the sheet, and the sheet name is inventory. So I can say dot from JSON, and then now I'll give the data. So what we should see now is we should see a row called chai and then a value of 12 coming. What happened? Come on. Sheet by name inventory from JSON. Yeah. Okay, let me check where I messed up. So spreadsheet, we create the spreadsheet, and then we have got the spreadsheet, and then, oh, my mistake. This does not go in here. Sorry about that. I practiced it many a times, and then, okay. So the get Kendo spreadsheet does not take anything. It is just returning you, it's a shorthand to get the access to that object. But when you're creating the Kendo, that's when you need to provide it the sheet definition. So this is the sheet definition, right? So that's where you need to provide it. Then at runtime, I'm grabbing the instance of the Kendo spreadsheet, and then of course maybe I would have gone to the web API, got a data. So the data has to be sent in this format. You have a rows is an array, and then each row has a cells collection, and you keep on padding up as many rows and cells that you want. And now I can just say sheet by name inventory, and then that sheet gets the data from this JSON data, right? So let me run it. And there we go. So we have chai and then food order and then my company. So what happened? Yeah, so that's correct. So what we are doing is we have two sheets here. Actually, I forgot to tell you that. So we have two sheets. One sheet is known as inventory, another sheet is known as food order. And in the food order, we have done all the whatever data you want. But notice here in the sheet called inventory, we did not have any data. So at runtime, we added chai to inventory. So if you take a look at this one, so there's two sheets, food order and inventory. For the inventory, I just added this data at runtime. So the point I'm trying to make is the API is flexible. You can pretty much provide the data in one shot, or you can go ahead and then kind of do a web service call, get the data afterwards, and then just pick a sheet and then say, hey, wait, I'm trying to get the data, and then once you got the data, paint it to the particular sheet, and then it will be having all those things. We already at the end of the hour. What I would do is I'm going to switch over to our demos that we have here. So somebody was asking about, so here's the basic usage demo. So question is, how would you add a data to a specific cell or a named cell? Well, as you can see here, our API is basically cells and rows. So you can pretty much, remember I created a range. Okay, let me go back to that range demo and then show you that. So you can pretty much pick up a range and then say, hey, add something to here. So I'm going to, so I have the sheet. Let me get, so I'm going to get where active sheet is equal to spreadsheet dot active sheet, right? So this is the active sheet I have, and then I'm going to create a var range is equal to sheet dot range, and then I can just say, let's say what range we have. Let's say I want to D5, and yeah, I want to put something in D5, right? So you normally you do something like this, right? A1 B2. So similarly, this is D1 D5 whatever, and I got the range. Now I can just say range dot value. I'll say Lohit, right? And now if I come back here and then refresh, oh, damn. Okay, just give me a second. I always am making this mistake. So let me run this, and I'm gonna go refresh it again. And D5 should get low hit now, and there we go. So D5 gets low hit. So it's pretty similar to what you do with Excel. So it's all the named ranges, or if you don't want to do this named ranges way, you can always loop through the rows and cells collection. The sheet will expose rows collection. The rows collection will each row will expose a cells collection, and then you can loop through the cell and then do it. Okay, so we have almost at the 1 hour mark, and then I still haven't touched the other two things. So let me get back to this demo. So I'm gonna load this. I don't know why my developer tools is not going. Just give me a second. So if you go to our demos.telric.com, there are a couple of scenarios that we have showcased already. So far, whatever coding I did was just to get you the primer as to, okay, this is how it works, and take a look at this. This is what you can do on a web page. This is actually, and notice here, I have a formula here, right? Sum of is equal to sum of F3 colon F14. So this has been done. So if I go and then let's say price, I'm going to put, there you go. So the changes affect immediately because it's a formula, right? I've done a formula saying like watch for so and so columns to so and so columns, and then if it changes, sum it up and then give it to me. So this is the basic usage. We also have the sorting and filtering in place. That is typically what you do, a sort and filter on your Excel sheet. You can do the same things on here too. So you can say date. You can say like, hey, sort Z to A, meaning largest date to the smallest date. Server import and export. This is what I was talking about. What you will need to do is you will need to create a mechanism wherein I'm now okay. Let me download this as a XLS file first. So I'm gonna save it. Save as, where do we save it as? Maybe downloads, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and then I'll say select file to import, and I'm going to go to this exported, and notice here it's exporting and it is done. It said done. So all we have done in this example is on the server side, we just read this particular Excel sheet as a file, and we have a document processing library. That library knows how to open that Excel sheet without having to install Microsoft Office on your servers, right? And then once it has opened that particular Excel workbook, we just convert that into JSON and then send it back, and we are listening to that particular data coming back, and then we just give it to the spreadsheet. So let me show you the code here. So if you see here, we are saying get JSON, right? Look at the code here. So this is a normal jQuery call. Once I got the data, I'm just saying spreadsheet from JSON sheets, take the sheets, right? That is as simple as it can get. And notice here we are uploading the file, right? This is just a mechanism that we have done. What we are doing is we just go ahead and then upload it to one of our endpoints, and that endpoints would have stored the data, and then this is the Excel sheet, and then if you see here on success, we are actually sending the JSON file itself as is as a JSON object. Sandeep, we should talk later. Maybe just give me a moment. Let me finish all this stuff. And then, of course, we have the concept of server export to PDF, meaning we have a PDF processing library available, which you can use it on your servers. Of course, it's a .NET based, and then you can pretty much do all this stuff. Now you can say like, hey, you know what? I want to export this particular sheet. Well, all you need to do is use the DPL library that we have, push your data to the server. So while pushing the data to the server, all you need to do is let me show that code. So this is basically we have kept all the hard-coded data, and then here it is, Excel proxy. So whenever we click on export, it goes to this server-side endpoint, and there we know how to convert this spreadsheet into a PDF and then give you the PDF value, right? And so you can do the selection, you can do the active sheet or whatever it is, and then when I click on generate PDF, it goes to the server side and then comes back. Plus, we also have this concept of data source. What do you call? I was talking about framework level elements. So this is the data source we have, Kendo UI data source, the JavaScript data source. Notice here it's now going to a very specific endpoint called as products, and basically we just create this data source, and then we say whenever you are asked to read data, read from this endpoint, and the model is product ID. That's it. And then whenever you want to create a sheet, you can just come back here and then say, hey, you know what? Here is the data source, and I'm creating all the cells and I'm creating all the widths for the columns. That's it. And then when the what do you call, the code runs, it's actually making a web API call to that particular it's making a web API call to that endpoint and then getting the data and then filling it with the this particular spreadsheet. So that's what pretty much is on the spreadsheet. I encourage you to go take a look at it, play around with it. Let us know what scenarios you are using the spreadsheet. It's very promising. It's in a beta stage, but we would like you to go play around with it. Tell us, where you feel something broke or something is not working, all those things. So looking forward to hearing back from you. So now let's go back to the AngularJS 2 support, right? If anybody is interested more to know about Angular 2, what you should do is just go to this particular website, angular.io. The old website is angularjs.org. That's for the Angular 1.x. But if you are looking at Angular 2, this is the website. So Google is building up a new website now for Angular 2, and that's known as angular.io, and it talks only about Angular JS 2. And no, mind you, it's still a development platform. Like, for example, it's still an experimental stage, meaning it's still not production ready. Angular 2 is still not production ready. But there's a new way of building stuff. So let me show you how you build it. So I'm going to take our demo, which we already have, and this is how you build Angular 2 based application along with Kendo UI. What you're seeing here is actually a JavaScript file or TypeScript file, because now from now onwards, Angular JS 2 uses TypeScript as a language. So you got to write it in TypeScript, and then you will compile it into or transcompile it into ES6 based or so ES5 based JavaScript code, right? And what you're doing here is you are getting importing stuff from Angular 2. So you are importing component, view, bootstrap, form directives, control group, control, whatever you need to work in your page, you will need to import it first. And then I'm getting Kendo value accessor because we have certain Angular 2 based APIs for Kendo. So I'm getting that. Now, this is interesting. How do you want to use this particular component? Well, I want to use this component as my app. So it's something like this. On a HTML page, I'm going to do this. Oh, spelling mistake. So I'm going to do this. So that's what Angular 2 brings into the picture now. So this is why it says component, what is the selector? The selector is my-app. And then what is the view, right? You're composing your views. So this is how you're going to start writing your Angular 2 based views. So here all I'm doing is I said form ng form model is a cap form. So this is all typical data binding stuff. There's nothing new here. But what is new here is take a look at how you can now create a Kendo control, right? Let me increase the font so that you guys can take a look at this. And I'm going to toggle sidebar. Yeah. So here I'm saying Kendo hyphen drop down list, and then I'm providing the option. So this is the new Angular 2 binding syntax. So whenever you want to bind something from your models, you just need to say a square bracket. And then of course all the other things work as is. Data text field is this, data value field is this, and then ng control. So what's the model? So that's the color model that I want to use, as the property that I want to use, right? And then I have Kendo numeric text box, and then I have button class, button k primary. Notice here, the data binding syntax is now always like a bracket. So this is the event binding, that was a property binding. So within brackets you say click, and then you call whatever method that you want to call. And if you see here, so what are the directives that I've used? I have used form directives, that's the ng-form, and then Kendo value accessors that I need for this. And then here is the component that we have created. Basically, this is your Angular controller. As you can see, on the scope, you used to put all the properties, right? Now you create a class, and these are the properties that I've created. Cap is actually a color, and then it's a number, and then I'm giving like this cap is of this type. That's what this means, right? A cap is a object. If you see there, it's a property, and its type is like it takes a color which is a number, and then colors is basically an array of text value pair, then drop down list options, then cap form is a control group. So this is something that Angular 2 gives you. And notice this, I have a constructor from state, and then remember we had the button, and then I can say preset, and then basically whenever I click on that button, I'm setting certain preset values, and then you just need to call bootstrap my app component. So this is how you define the JavaScript portion of that. But how do you use it on a web form or on a web page? So let me show you that. So here it is. This is all you will say now. My dash app, that's it. And then of course there are certain plumbing things that is required for now. For example, you need to use the tracer, because tracer knows how to convert your Angular 2 in ES6 code into ES5 code. Then it needs a system.src, that's the new way of loading modules, all those things. And then you also need to have the Angular 2 .dev.js, so that's the Angular 2 library. So you will need to use those things. Just give me a second. Okay, so that's what it is. So let's run this on our demo site and then see. And mind you, Angular 2 won't run in most of the browsers, because it is using very advanced technologies now. So I will need to bring up Chrome. I think Chrome supports everything. So let me just get a Chrome up, and then we'll go to that particular demo. Sorry, I've run out of time, so 7 minutes overboard. So I hope you guys are going to stick with me for a moment, and then I'm going to explain web components also. So if I go to our demos and then look for integration with JS libraries, and I look at Kendo UI plus Angular 2. So let it load. And there we have. So this is actually an Angular 2 application now. So notice here we have the drop down list, we have the numeric text box, and then remember I just had the button which said if we click on it, there will be a preset being called on it. So I can do this. So notice here the preset has been done. So colors set to 3 and then amount set to 10. Notice, note that this demo will work with only those browsers which support basically the polyfilling, all those things. So Chrome already knows a little bit about web components, so you don't need to do much of the stuff there. But if you want to run this in production and support all the other browser, you will need to start doing a polyfill for web components, because this is using that web component technology. My dash app that you saw was actually the web component specification, and then Chrome already knows about that. If you want to run the same sample on an IE, it won't run because it doesn't know. So that's why there was a commented code in our demo which said, like, you will need to uncomment this if you want to run it in most browsers, because we do a polyfilling for the web component so that the browser knows about what is this component called as my dash app, right? Now coming to web components, let me just take you to this particular website. Web components, a place to discuss and evolve web component best practices, right? So this is basically talking about how can we create a custom component. So Polymer is one of the leading ones on this. If you see here, custom element, so this is what I was talking about. My dash app is actually a custom element that is not there in the HTML spec at all. HTML4 or 5 does not have that at all. So that's where this web component comes in and then talks about, okay, I should be able to create custom element. So there is already a draft available, as you can see here, November 26 draft, and this will let you know how you can create a custom component and what the browser should do about that. So notice here, me dash second or me dash first. So like this, I should be able to create a custom component, right? So keeping that in mind, what we did was we have now enabled web component support for Kendo UI, meaning notice how we created the spreadsheet here. We had to always do this, get an element, convert that into Kendo spreadsheet. So with web components, you do not have to do anything at all. Okay, let me show you that. So what you can do with web components, notice here Kendo hyphen progress bar, then Kendo hyphen date picker, then Kendo hyphen drop down list. That's all. So that's as good as it can get with web components. You don't have to worry about, oh, how do I convert this div into a Kendo component or anything. No, you can directly work with these things, and then Kendo library knows about this, how to convert this custom tags into a Kendo widget. And again, this is a cutting edge technology, as I can call it, and it is not supported by all the browsers. Again, if you want to support this, you will need to use a polyfill for web components. Let me show you this. So there are certain polyfills available. If you see here, you will need to use this polyfill in your pages and then make use of our Kendo UI web component way of doing. So if you see here, there's a JavaScript available called as web components.js. You need to add that, and that would give the browser the ability to understand, oh, this is a custom component, and then do all the other things, all the stuff. So that's what it is with the web components. Very promising technology. We are all eagerly looking at where this leads to. Of course, all the browser vendors have to agree upon to this and then bring this into the mainstream browsers. As of now, not everybody supports it. As you can see, Chrome supports everything. I think Edge also supports everything. So, but I'm not on IE 10 today, so it's IE. Sorry, I'm not on Windows 10 today, so that's why I cannot run the Edge. I believe Edge does have something supported with web components and all those things going on. uh, that's all I had for today. I'm 12 minutes overboard. Sorry about that. I hope you guys got something new today from our side. So we are excited at what we have been building so far in the new release, all those things. So I'm going to stop the recording for now. So what I can do is I'll just flash my email ID so that if somebody wants to get in touch with me, there you go, that's my email ID. And thank you once again for attending the webinar. Hope this was useful, and then we look forward to your presence in the future webinars.